What's up, guys, and welcome to Skins in the Game, episode number 29. We've been doing this quite some time now already, it seems like. But anyway, we got John and Tim here to talk about what's going on in the Redskins world. How you doing today?
I'm here. Another just absolutely heartbreaking. Dig yourself a hole, come back, give me some hope, and then it all went to crap.
Unfortunately, I predicted it. It's exactly what I predicted. Tear our hearts out right at the last drive at the end. Like, why did I have to be right about that one?
Yeah, but I don't even think even you envisioned the heart getting torn out like that. I think we all thought overtime at that point.
Oh, no, I posted on the Facebook page saying overtime, and oh, God, that's funny. What's up, Cruz? He said, is this a broadcast about handball? This is a guy I work with that he's a big real football fan, as he says, a soccer fan. But, no, I posted on Facebook saying, like, overtime, like, it's going. Like, we're going to overtime. Like, sweet, awesome, 16 seconds left. We just tied it. Let's go. And, like, 21-point comeback, Alex Smith, sweet, let's do this. But
yeah, and how nice would it be to have a kicker that could kick a 59-yard field goal?
Oh, my God. Like, if we were to even send him out there for a 59-yard field goal, we would never send him out there.
That's what I'm saying.
We would never, ever do that. Like, this sucks. So,
well, they said their kicker was practicing before the game and was kicking field goals over 60 yards.
Oh, that was good from probably 65.
Yeah.
That thing hit
so
the
they were
net.
like, 59. Yeah, 59 is well within. But, yeah, he was like in the 60s just drilling field goals in practice. Now, I know game's different in practice, but you still have to have the leg to hit a 65-yard.
Oh, my goodness. Like, that thing hit the back of the net like 2 or 3 yards above that may have been good for almost 70. Like the way that
whatever it was a no doubter. I know as soon as
sure.
Actually, that's not true. When it first took off, it started left. I don't know if you noticed, and then it like knuckleballed back. But I thought when it first went, it was like it's going to go left, and then all of a sudden it just kind of made a right little turn. It's
perfect for them. Unfortunately, not perfect for us. But okay, before we get into the game, though, we have Matt Ioannidis, who tested positive for COVID and is apparently screwing up this whole practice week. Like, they're planning on only walkthroughs. Players are only allowed in limited fashion in the building. Everybody's being very, very careful. And Matt Ioannidis isn't even playing. He's been hurt. I think he's out for the season. So
I thought they said all meetings were virtual, but they're going to allow them to show up for a walkthrough. That's weird.
It is weird. I don't know, or they said any practices. I don't even know if they've done a walkthrough yet, but they said if they have any practices, it might only be in walkthrough format. And also, you're right. The meetings are going to be virtual, like you said, and then also, but there's other players that need to come in for treatment and things like that, so they have limited access to the facilities for that.
Yeah, I'd heard that too. Yeah.
So. Just wanted to say that at the top of the show, so that could affect next week's game.
Hey, they'll be good and rested, right?
Yeah, in theory. All right, so the number one question coming out of this game, was that roughing the passer or nah?
I mean, the last play, well, I'll put it to you this way. The way the rule is now, yes. The way I feel it should be, no. Because it could argue that Chase Young was running at him and in putting his arms out and hitting him, that you could look at that as, which I'm not saying I believe this, but you could theoretically look at it as like he was putting his hands out to stop him from, because what does he do? I don't think he's going to be able to stop running without running into him.
Well, it was either a really hard stop or a good acting job by Matt Stafford because he went flying.
That's the other thing I was going to say. Yeah, it was like you'd have thought he, hit him with a baseball bat. It was like. And it's so frustrating, especially with that. That was third down, right?
No, that was second down, right? Yeah, no, it was actually a first down. Sorry, they had gotten the first down on the first play. It was only the second play of the drive. They got there in three plays.
I thought it was more than first down, but
it was only 16 seconds. So they had the quick 12-yard play to start the drive that we played off on, right? So they had a quick drive there. Then they had the pass interference call. So that was the deep shot the pass interference, the roughing the passer call. and then they had the 12-yard play at the end to set them up for the 59-yard field goal. There was only 3 plays on that last drive.
Yeah, and I will say this. I don't think that play deserved 15 yards. It's call it what you want. I know it's pass interference, blah, blah, blah. And like I said, the way the rule is now, it's the way it's going to be. But the fact of the matter is 15 years ago, 20 years ago, that would have been not even a second look at it.
No, not at all. I also thought Alex Smith got hit late a few times throughout the game that I thought was interesting. But the point is, though, it's a rookie mistake. You can't even get close like that in that situation.
Right.
12
and he was
seconds
already
left. Yeah.
And he was already going down. It's not like he was going to get. It's not like you were doing it to,
the ball was already gone. The ball was already gone, and then you put your hands on him, and you set yourself up for that kind of ticky-tack call. Is it the best call in the world? No. But at the same time, he did push him pretty hard and knocked him into another player and knocked him onto the ground. It's
right there. It's use your head.
Which he was very apologetic. He stepped out as a man to the media, talked to the media about it. He didn't go hide or anything. Didn't try to hide from the media. So Chase Young is doing all the right things after the fact, but he knows that was a big, big mistake. So,
by the way, before we go into the review of the game, I read something today I found interesting, but I heard somebody say that Chase Young is too small for defensive line. He's not big enough, and I thought that was. He's 6'5", 265, and I thought. Maybe put a little weight on, but he's nothing but muscle. And the guy manhandles offensive linemen, and he routinely gets doubled and triple teamed. But somebody actually said that Chase Young was a bad pick because he's too small for that position. I thought that was comical. But anyway.
Yeah, I'm just looking at
somebody
somebody else real quick.
No, I looked at Khalil Mack, but he's a linebacker.
Okay, but he plays the same position. Okay, he plays outside linebacker, but he still plays on the line, and he basically plays in the exact same spot.
That's the first person I looked up. I did exactly the same thing, and Chase Young is bigger than him.
Right. Yeah, so it's just ridiculous. But there is a lot going on right now as far as he's not good enough. Like, we messed up. He's a bust. Only 3.5 sacks, and there's a lot of that kind of talk going around in Redskin circles after that play. And so I went through and I just watched Chase Young. Every defensive play, I just went in there and watched Chase Young. Just to start, he's not a bust. He's absolutely not a bust. Literally, listen just to the first 12 plays. Double teamed, screen away from him, ran away from him, double teamed, ran away from him, solo block, and it was a good play by the running back. Double teamed, ran away from him. That's the first 12 plays of the game.
And I wonder why offensive coordinators don't want to run to Chase Young if he is so bad.
Scream Gaming keeps talking about Michael Maloney. I've never heard of this guy, but apparently he's saying the Skins are considering to sign the undrafted QB. He played for GWCS. Who in the world is GWCS? For a college
George Washington. The GW is first thing that comes to mind, but
GW Community School. Let's see here. I'm just curious now. Michael Maloney. He keeps talking about him, so I'll look him up. Have you ever heard of this guy?
No, but okay. Before we start, and I know we're looking at the future.
Yeah.
And I don't want to stomp on anything we might talk about later. But you had mentioned about if Alex Smith is healthy enough to play, we should play him, and I think he gave every indication on Sunday that he is head and shoulders above Kyle Allen and Dwayne Haskins. Now, that might not be a great ringing endorsement because that bar is not very high. But I hear people, of course, the whole, they didn't wait around on Dwayne Haskins, and which you could argue that it was dumb of Ron Rivera to think, hey, we got a shot.
I can't even find this guy on Google. Anyway, but yeah, shot at the playoffs with Alex Smith. Go ahead. No,
but I know that Rivera's, at least what he said was, hey, I realized that we had a shot at the playoffs with what's happening with the division. So I'm going to bring in Kyle Allen because he knows our system. And then of course he gets hurt and Dwayne Haskins was already in the doghouse. So they bring in Alex Smith. But so the argument or the discussion of whether or not we should have just stayed with Dwayne Haskins and let him have a year to prove himself or not, I'm not arguing with that, but as far as if you're trying to win, with what Alex Smith did on Sunday, 390 yards, a great
38 for
drive.
55.
Yeah.
Career high completions, career high attempts, career high yards. Yep.
Yep. So I just wanted to say, I know early on you said if Alex Smith is healthy enough to play, they play him. And I was like, no, keep Dwayne Haskins in. And like I said, you could argue you got to give Dwayne Haskins a chance, but I can't argue with your logic of that out of the quarterbacks that they had, if Alex Smith was able to play since the beginning of the year, I don't think we're 2-7.
No, absolutely. I completely agree. He can control the game. He's a king game manager, so you're going to win the time of possession. We won the time of possession this game big time, 35 and a half,
Oh my
24
God.
and a half. Yeah.
At halftime, we had dominated everything. Yards gained, possession. It was like, and we're down, what, 20-3 at halftime? Was it 20?
17-3. 17-3 at half.
17-3.
Yep.
So yeah, we're down 17-3, and all the stats line. If you would have looked at the stats line without the score, you would have said, "Oh, the Redskins are doing well in this game." It's like...
Yeah. No, sir. That is not the case. But no, it's really unfortunate because, yeah, we had a missed field goal. We had Scary Terry fumble. I even posted on Facebook. I said, you know it's bad when your best player is now turning it over. Like, it's so hard to overcome. Not that he lost us the game, but at the same time, that was critical in a 3-point game. We're in their zone. Like, we're in there on their side of the field, and we get the fumble. And it's like, it's that kind of year where we're even having a good game trying to compete, but then our best player fumbles.
I saw almost an identical play, I think, on the Monday night game. Minnesota, the guy caught the ball, and it was the same kind of thing. He was going down, and the ball was coming, whether or not his knee got down before the ball started moving, and they called it a fumble, and they said the ruling on the field stood. And that's what I think with Terry, that if they'd have called it the other way around, they weren't going to reverse it the other way.
You couldn't see the ball. You couldn't see
Right.
the ball moving at all because it was completely in between the two guys. Yeah, it was a very unfortunate call for sure. Let's see here. So, in watching the film with Chase Young, okay, I noticed something. Our secondary and linebackers are really, really bad. I don't know if it's all scheme or if it's any scheme and it's just all players, or if there's a mixture. I don't know that for sure. I didn't look that deep because, as I said, I was really just looking at Chase Young. The ball was out of Matt Stafford's hands so fast, so often. And on both touchdown plays, deep plays, Chase Young was double teamed, so he didn't have time to get there anyway. But even when he was solo blocked, the ball was out within 2.5 seconds.
Yeah,
every single time.
A lot of teams, because of what the reputation, and I say reputation, not based on what they've done necessarily but what they are on paper, was that this front four is going to be unstoppable. So I think a lot of offensive coordinators have decided we're not holding on to the ball. We're going to get it out quick. And unfortunately, the one glaring thing I noticed was on the touchdown play, and Jimmy Moreland was supposed to basically, the safety went back, like the safety moved to his left.
Center of the field.
Yeah, and Jimmy Moreland was supposed to cover the guy, and basically he was watching the quarterback and totally got burned. And they were saying the announcers were saying that was, and what's the safety's name? I just drew a total blank.
Was it Troy Apke at that point, or is it Shazer Everett? I think it was Shazer Everett at that point.
I think it was Everett, yeah. But basically they said that that play is going to get called on Everett because he's supposed to cover the over, but it was such a glaringly terrible coverage underneath that the guy was 8 yards open by the time Everett even looked at him. And it's like, you're supposed to be the over coverage, not the only coverage.
Not the only coverage. Yeah, our secondary is a big, big problem, and our linebackers. That ball was out so fast, and the completion rate on those were extremely high. Like, it really sucked to watch because, yeah, it's like everybody's talking about, oh, this D-line's not living up to the hype. The D-line's is a problem. Like, they're not doing what they're supposed to do. They have no time to make any difference in this game.
And I'm sorry, and maybe you get burned in. And again, I heard somebody say this, which I agree with 100%, is what the offense is doing. You have to press cover everybody, stay on top of them. Don't play loose on anybody. And if you get beat deep, you get beat deep. But you can't play soft when the guy's throwing it out in the second and a half or 2 seconds. You have to be on him. And then, he's going to gain 5 yards before you get to him. And then if he misses you miss a tackle, then who knows what can happen. But I'm very sad that Del Rio hasn't made that adjustment to say, okay, they are coming out of the backfield quick. We are going to be man-to-man tight and let them beat us. And then make him hold the ball. Because if you're going to throw it over the top, that's going to take a couple more seconds, right? So you cover everybody tight and because we're getting beat anyway,
right?
It's like we're playing soft and we still get beat so badly down the sideline that it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, in 2 games also, we've had 0 turnovers. We're right now -7 in the turnover department as far as plus minus in the turnover. That in a 3-point games, those are critical. Like, we gotta get a turnover or 2. Like this, it's so frustrating right now to watch this defense, and it's not the defensive line's fault. We need linebacker play so bad right now. Our linebackers are abysmal. But let's see. Ron Rivera just changed it up. Says no kicking change, no kicker change. How do you feel about that?
Well, I get what you're saying, and I can't argue with it. He is a 50-50. Every time he goes out there, if I feel 50-50 about the kick, I'd say that's on the better side. It's gotten it. I don't think he used to be this bad. I think you might be right. The Cincinnati game in the overtime where he hit it off the goalpost, maybe that was when it got in his head. But I know kicking is very mental, and I think it got in his head at some point. And the only thing I can think of was from Rivera's standpoint is maybe there's nobody out there. Or maybe he's saying no kicking. If there was somebody, I can't imagine right now that if there was a free agent out there that was a decent kicker, the Rivera wouldn't have jumped on it. So the fact that he's saying no kicking change is an indication of, and again, it's a guess. I don't know.
No. It's a very fair guess. I'm not saying that what you're saying is unreasonable. I was just, since you mentioned it, I was like, you know what? I'm kind of curious. Who is out there? Is there anybody that is available? Why are you going to show me who was signed? Like,
and I know that there's other kickers out there, that there's teams that will go for it on 4th down unless it's like inside the 20-yard line because they have kickers that can't kick well. I'm not saying there's other kickers that aren't like that, but it's very sad to see how many teams out there have kickers that are money. And if you give them something, most of them, you give them something under 50 yards, and several of them even over 50 yards, you feel very confident that they're gonna do something, just like what Detroit did on Sunday. That they have a kicker that at a 59-yard kick, they were like, not only did they bring him out there, the announcers are going, oh, this is well within his range. This wasn't like, oh, this is a Hail Mary type thing. They're going to try to win this game. It was, I never got the feeling. It was weird because normally I would think, oh, a 59-yard field goal, come on, you have to be really lucky to make that. And for some reason, just from what I was hearing, and I didn't know this guy much about this guy, but when they were like,
he holds the record.
Oh, yeah. Does he?
Matt Prater's made a 64-yard field goal. He used to play for Denver, and that's when he made a 64-yarder.
Yeah, but like I said, when he came out there, I had a pit in my stomach. Like, okay, they have to mess up something for him to miss this.
Yeah.
As opposed to, oh, he's going to have to get really lucky to make it. So
December 8th, 2013, he made a 64-yard field goal for the Broncos.
What was Patrick Dempsey's? I think it's Patrick Dempsey. He had the record at one. What's Patrick Dempsey's longest field goal? I thought it was 60. It was 60 something, but obviously not 65.
Dempsey's longest field goal, 63-yarder.
Okay, that was the record for the longest time. I know that's.
Yep, and it was Tom Dempsey. Tom Dempsey. I'm sorry. He had a club foot. He had his kicking foot was not. He didn't have toes. He had like the front of his foot was amputated for whatever Wow.
happened to it. Maybe he was born that way. So basically, he had a club. And they had a shoe. I'm telling you, they had a shoe with the front of it was, I don't know if they put steel on it or whatever, but he was basically hitting the football. He wasn't hitting it with his toes. He was hitting it with a club and
Wow.
could knock the crap out of it.
63-yard field goal back in those days is no joke because it looked old. I don't know when he was the kicker for Arizona, but that it was a black and white picture.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
The
he was old.
Wikipedia.
And the sad part is I think I mixed Tom Dempsey and Patrick Ramsey when I said Patrick Dempsey.
Yeah, that's
How sad is that?
Very different things. Very, very different.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well, I just have like a couple other things about like why is J.D. McKissick getting 9 targets before Terry McLaurin gets 2? At one point in the game, J.D. McKissick had 9 targets to his name, and Terry had 1.
Weren't they keying? I thought they were really, really keying on Terry.
I don't know. We need to scheme something up. I did like this the sweep play that we gave to him. He looked like our best running back.
Finally, one of them actually worked.
I know, right? He looked like he was like setting up the blocks and everything, making cuts. He looked like arguably our best running. Maybe we need to move him inside a little bit.
Yeah, I was actually very pleased because normally when the Redskins try that kind of play, there's 6 defenders standing over there waiting for him in the backfield. So
that's what happened when we're freaking on the 20-yard line, and we have 2 negative plays to get knocked out of field goal range.
Was that when they tried the double reverse?
Yeah, but it's freaking
on like 2nd and 5.
It was still like a 53-yard field goal. We need a kicker that can make it.
No, I know, but still, you get down to the 20-yard line, I think it was, and you're like 2nd and 5, I want to say, 2nd and manageable, and you're going to try some trick play that ends up losing 10 yards, and then the next play, or maybe I got him backwards, I don't know.
No, you're right.
And then it was a sack for 13, right? And it was so it was like you lose 24 yards on 2 plays when you're down at the 20-yard line, and it's like, I mean, we were moving the ball. That's why. Okay, you're trying to catch them off guard, misdirection, fake one way, throw a screen in the other way. That's one thing, but a double reverse is a very long developing play.
Mm-hmm.
And to try that in that particular situation when you don't have a lot of field for the defense to cover, so you can't run the cornerbacks and the safeties long.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have room to do that. So it just seemed like a silly time for me to me for them to do that.
So we were on the Detroit 14, excuse me. It was a negative 10-yard play, then a negative 14-yard play, so 24 net yards lost. At the 38, that is a 56-yard field goal.
Right, so 2nd and 3, right? Is that what I'm reading? 2nd and 3 at Detroit's 14, and you're going to do a double reverse that starts like 8 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Vinshu Mansunari? I'm just going to call you Vishnu. Whenever Hopkins comes to kick a field goal, anything which is above 40 yards, it gives me chills. Yeah, he feels very much the same way as you do.
And not in the good. Sometimes I got chills is a good thing. I'm taking his was not good chills.
No,
that was like a cold and flu chill.
No, it's not good. I want a new kicker so bad. It's just you can't even trust him to kick over 50 yards. He's only attempted one 50-yard field goal, and he missed it.
Yeah.
Like,
and I could deal with that I could deal with that if 35, 38, 40-yarders he was making and he misses a 50-yarder or 50-plus yarder. I could deal with that, but he's missing kicks that, like I said, well over half the league's kickers, they're automatic. Almost, I know it's not automatic, but you know what I'm saying. 40-yard kicks are like, take it to the bank. And he's a 50-50 shot.
It's bad.
Unless it's like a 20-yarder or 24-yarder. And still, even then, I'm thinking, okay, how is he going to screw this up?
He's missed 5 field goals, and only one of them was 50 or farther. The other ones were in the 40 range. Yeah. Like, it's not good. And he's like 70% field goal kicking right now, including ones close, which is not good at a kicker.
And think about this, and I know this is more common this year, so maybe it doesn't have a whole lot to do with this, but how many times have we gone for 4th and 4, 4th and 3 in their 20-yard range, 20 to 30-yard range? We're going for it. And again, it's a new mentality, so I understand that has something to do with it, but I can't imagine that it's not in the back of Rivera's mind that if we're on the 25-yard line, there's a good chance he's going to miss it. So he goes for it, and we've had good success with it. But
Yeah, we were 2 for 2 on 4th down, and I don't think that included the pass interference call at the end of the game, where that was a ticky-tack call. What did you think about that pass interference call?
yeah, I think that it's
I
it's
don't.
very subjective. It's
Yeah.
subjective, and unfortunately there's a lot of the block in the back on a return, holding on offense. A lot of these things are very subjective, and they're subject to those kind of things where, um, I'm digressing a little bit because on um, Monday night, Nick Foles, the guy hit him in the side of the head, and it was towards the end of the game, and the guy, they brought in the rules official, and he goes, well, there was only like 3 penalties the whole game, and he goes, unfortunately, I think that when that happens, the refs kind of get that in there, that becomes their mindset, and they miss things. But I mean, he came and gave him a good shot. Again, 20 years ago wouldn't have been a penalty, but in this day and age,
Yeah.
should have probably will get a fine, and it wasn't called. But back to the subjectiveness of, yeah, I can see what you're talking about. It could have easily not been called, but it's the way of our refs now, where it's like sometimes they see things that we don't see. And I think we had this conversation. I don't want to drag this out too long, but I think we had this conversation early on about the 12th, or the ref in the sky.
Mm-hmm. The 8th official.
Yeah, I think there's still. I mean, they haven't really said anything about it, so I'm guessing he only talks to the head judge or the head referee. And I would love to see them be able to come back and not. I don't mean coaches throwing challenges. I think that was a complete abomination. But to have that guy in the sky, or to have somebody that could call down to the ref and go, that wasn't a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody ever has to know about it. They all the time, oh, there was no foul on the play. I would like to see that be somebody watching that could go in and say, okay, you guys blew that call. It's not
Right.
a penalty. But I don't know why they won't do that. Like I said, I thought when the coach could call a challenge, that was ridiculous, because it seemed like every time you turned around, it's like, oh, that was a challenge, that pass interference, and they never reversed it. Right? Did they
No.
maybe once?
It was ridiculous. The success rate for a challenge on a pass interference was absolutely abysmal. But all right, well, we're gonna close the chapter on that one. And TT Wims says it's gonna be interesting to see if the Bengals can protect Burrow this week. So let's jump in to the next week's matchup, Cincinnati Bengals. And all right, so
the secondary has to play press coverage for them to get the Burrow. Let's just say that.
like, this is bad. So Bengals right now are sitting in 18th in total offense, 16th in passing offense, 21st in rushing offense, 26th in total defense, 26th in the passing defense, 27th in the rushing defense. So this team is not world beating by any stretch. They're
middle of the pack offense, terrible defense.
That's what it looks like. They did beat the Titans just a couple weeks ago. They got smacked by the Steelers, I believe, last week. So they're not extremely good. Joe Burrow, though, has looked really, really good. So we're going to happen to notable players. Number 1 pick, Joe Burrow. He's sitting right now 9th in the league in yards, 2485. 12 TDs to only 5 interceptions. So he's protected the ball pretty well, especially for a rookie. And he's having a great season, but he does have an ankle injury right now. So
okay,
he may not play.
Help me out with this. How can you be 18th in passing offense but have a quarterback that's 9th in yards?
Because sacks go against your passing yards.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you have sacks, that subtracts from your
passing
passing
totals. That's a good point.
Yep. So
that just seems like a big discrepancy to me. Like,
also,
he's 9th in the league. But
yeah. Also, like, if you have like a quarterback that's missed a couple games, like Pat Mahomes has missed a couple games. So total, I don't know. Pat Mahomes might be a bad example because he might actually have already surpassed Joe Burrow. But the point is like maybe there's a couple quarterbacks that have missed a game or two that I don't know about. But that also affects your. Obviously, if you have 2 quarterbacks that both throw for 1,300 yards, they're not going to show up on the line, but they have more passing yards. Anyway,
and this is the last week of buys, right?
Week 10? Week 11? Is that right?
There's only
no,
4.
I think 12.
I thought it always ended at 10. I thought 11 was late for it, but maybe you're right. I don't.
No, definitely not
that's
week
the
10.
question.
I think week 12 still has bye weeks.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's some teams that still have played 10 games, then other people have only played 9.
Yeah, I know there's a bye week this week coming up. I didn't know if there
Well, that's
was
week
another
11.
one afterwards. Right. That's what I was saying. I thought 11 was late, but you're saying it's going to be the week after that, is week 12.
Yeah, I think week 12 is when they stop. It might even be week 13, to be honest.
Can't be that late. They don't start till 4. They got it. 12 can be the late. If they're going to start them in the week 4, they can't go to week 13. That wouldn't make sense to me, but it's possible.
It's very possible. I don't know off the top of my head for sure. Okay, so Joe Burrow is obviously a big notable thing. He also has a nice group of receivers. Tyler Boyd, AJ Green, and then their young rookie T. Higgins is having a really good season. So a trio in weapons, and they also have Auden Tate as their fourth, who's a not bad fourth receiver as well.
By the way, with a name like that, you have to be good.
Who's that?
T. Higgins.
You like that name?
Yeah.
You like that name? There you go. Joe Mixon is their running back, but he may not play. They're saying that he may not come back. He does have an injury, which would definitely help us out because he's super talented. And the backups are Giovanni Bernard and Samaje Perine. You remember Perine?
You know what that? I was just gonna say. You know what that means? Perine, 150 yards rushing. Samaje Perine is gonna light the WFT on fire.
Hey, they said that about AP, but AP didn't do that. AP didn't light us up. He did average like 5 yards a carry. They only gave him like 4 carries.
I was going to say, he didn't carry the ball much. What he did, it seemed to work. They apparently didn't need him, but
right.
But watch, P. Ryan is going to light it up, just like Alfred Morris.
Yeah, for sure. The only notable player that I really saw on defense is right now their safety. Jesse Bates III is having a heck of a season. He's actually the highest rated safety right now on PFF at 91 overall rating. He has 2 interceptions. Like, he's all over the place. So outside of that, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, so they count passes defended and turnovers.
Yep.
Is that pretty much all that goes into PFF, or?
No, they judge you on every single play in every single situation. So if you give up a 10-yard play, but it's on 4th and 25, they don't count that against you. They take everything into consideration. Like, okay, you only gave up a 2-yard play, but that was on 4th and 1.
Right.
So that's going to hurt you more than, something like that. So no, they do that. Man, Spoiled AFib Gaming, apparently, our Saints fan, apparently had 4 wisdom teeth pulled today. He said, please pray for me. Yes, that sucks. I had my wisdom teeth pulled. It's not fun. And I think I had all 4 pulled. No, I think I only had 2 pulled. I think I only had the bottom 2 when I pulled mine.
Well, a prayer. I'll send prayers out to him. I will say that I have you beat, because when I got my implants, I had 13 teeth pulled and 6 implants put in the 4 hours in the dentist chair. So,
yeah, he didn't always have that pretty smile over there. Dad didn't.
Wisdom teeth suck. So get better, feel better soon, and whatever painkiller they gave you, make sure you stay on it for the first 48 hours.
Stay on it. Seriously.
Yes. You might think, oh, I'm feeling a little bit better. No, keep taking it for at least 48 hours. You want to stay
ahead of the pain. You do not want to wait till the pain and try to catch up with the pain. You want to stay ahead of the pain.
That's right.
Key moments. All right. Speaking of key moments, 5 things we need to do to beat the Bengals. All right.
Okay. Before we start, do you realize whatever you say, the 5 things they either need to do or they don't do, they either don't do or they do. So you always see, maybe you want to just switch them around and say they should turn the ball over at least 5 times.
Yeah.
Right?
I think you said that all sorts of backwards, but I understand what you mean. Yeah, I should. So they don't need to run the football at all. Antonio Gibson probably should have like 2 carries at best. That's a lot.
Yeah, they should pass. They should pass every down and should never throw to Terry McLaurin.
There you go. That's number 1. Definitely don't run the ball. Number 2, play 1 coverage against Joe Burrow all game, so that Joe Burrow can read the defense really well and destroy you. Just run 1 coverage.
Right.
I don't care which one. You can man, cover 2, cover 3, a little bit of a mixture, but only run the 1. Whatever you mix it with, you got to stick with that the entire game.
And only rush 3 and play very, very, very loose coverage.
There you go.
Play
No,
at least
if that's
10
the one
yards
you
up.
did, but you have to. That's the only coverage you can play. All right, number 3. Do not help Jerron Christian, your left tackle, at all. He's so great. He can block anybody. I think he can actually block 2 people at once. Okay, just don't chip. Don't come over and chip for him. You're wasting your time. He's gonna stop the guy every single time. Okay, leave
Right.
Jerron Christian alone. He'll be fine.
Leave him on an island.
Yep, because Cornelius Lucas is not going to is probably not going to play. Hopefully he does. I liked Cornelius Lucas, but he's probably not going to play. So, Jerron Christian, just leave him on an island, as Dad said. That's great. Number 4, we do not need turnovers to win this game. All right,
Not at all.
We've had no turnovers in the last couple of games. We've gotten close, so let's not start now. Okay, we don't need any turnovers this game. That's fine.
Yeah.
All right, that'll work perfect. And yeah, if I see 10 targets to Scary Terry, I'm going to be upset. All right, 3 max to Scary Terry targets. That's it. You know,
And that's only if you can't find anybody else to throw it to.
yeah, and I love the fact that we threw 9 targets to J.D. McKissick before we threw it twice to Terry McLaurin. Okay, that's a great ratio. That's perfect. And yeah, there you go.
We should write a letter to Scott Turner and say how good of a play calling that was, or whoever decided that what brilliant scheming on the field, because they were keying on McLaurin. The last thing you want to do is throw it to him.
All right, we'll see how that works out for us. All right, that leads us into final predictions. Do you want to go first or me first?
Let me think about it. You go first.
All right. I say this week we finally get over the hump, and Alex gets his first win since he's returning. It's going to be a nail biter. It's going to be close. We're not going to destroy this team, but we win 23-20.
All right. I actually wanted to say, I'm under the impression that the Bengals have played in several close games. Let me just pull up the schedule. Sorry, I was trying to do this quicker. I didn't expect your predictions to be that fast, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
no. I'm just okay. So
Because I don't think Joe Mixon plays. I think that helps us. Joe Mixon stays on the bench, so they don't have their star running back. That helps make them one-dimensional. We throw different looks at Joe Burrow. I mean, we throw one look at him, and we mix them up, and we get the win.
right. Okay. So to my point, Chargers beat them 16-13.
Mm-hmm.
Eagles, they tied, which we know what the Eagles are. Ravens kicked them, destroyed them 27-3. Browns beat them 37-34, another close game. Steelers crushed them. Browns beat them again 35-30. Jaguars, they beat 33-25, which Jaguars aren't very good. Colts beat them 31-27, and I think the Colts are pretty decent. And they beat the Titans, as you brought up. So I don't think what is their record? I was trying to do that on the fly.
2-6-1.
Yeah, so I don't think that 2-6-1. I know what's his face that said you are what your record says you are, but I think that
Is that Doc Walker?
maybe no, it was one of the coaches. Who was it? Not
Schottenheimer. Jim Zorn.
Yeah, no, not Jim Zorn.
Was it the guy that played for that coached South Carolina right now? Spurrier?
Oh, no, it was Bill Parcells.
Oh, it wasn't one of our coaches. Sorry, I thought it was one of our.
No, no. I'm sorry. No, it was just a coach that said.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I misled, or if I misled you on that, but so I don't think Cincinnati's terrible. I think that the Redskins have shown glimpses of what they can be, but they got to stop. They actually scored in the first quarter in this game, which apparently they've had a very difficult time doing this year. But you cannot spot a team 14 points, 24. They were down 27-3, right?
Yeah.
Or 20.
24-3.
24-3. So you can't spot a team 21 points and keep trying to come back. That they have to do what they've been able, whatever they're doing to adjust in the second half. They have to figure out somehow of doing that in the first half to be able to play when, instead of waiting till you're down 17 points and then suddenly you can move the ball when you're up, or have your defense actually make a stop when you're within one score or you're tied. I'm talking about early in the game. They've been managed to do this later on. So if they don't do that, I don't feel good about. I think Cincinnati can score points on them, and it might get away from them. But if they can actually come out in the first half and play like they've, and a lot of times played in the second half, then I think it can be, a 24-20, potentially more. I know Cincinnati's defense is bad. Redskins could theoretically get to 30 points if they start in the first half instead of the second.
Right.
But so I'm going to go with that prediction. I'm going to say 27-20 Redskins. But it's with that caveat. I'm not betting the house on this happening, but I think that eventually they've got to get it, that you need to start in the first quarter and figure out how to do that in the first quarter. And if they do that, I think they beat them. It's not going to be a, sit down and relax kind of victory. I don't believe, because Cincinnati doesn't normally do that. They've only done that a couple times this year, and that was against the Ravens in Pittsburgh, which division games, right? They're in their division. Or am I wrong?
Yeah, Bengals and Steelers.
Yeah, and the Ravens.
Yep, they're all in the same, and then the Browns would be the last team. Yep.
So they played the Browns close in both games, lost, and they played. They got blown out by the Ravens in Pittsburgh, which are two pretty good teams. Although the Ravens have been sucking it up a little bit lately, which can't say I don't enjoy a little bit. But
did you watch that Sunday night game?
I did. It was.
Did you watch it to the end?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what happened. I'm trying to remember the details of it.
The final drive. The screen had like a white tint to it because the rain was coming down so hard.
Right. Okay.
In that final drive, like I've never seen rain so hard in an NFL game. Like it's an HD camera or whatever. They usually can block out the rain pretty good, where you can't tell. This whole screen had a white tint because the rain was coming down in buckets. It was crazy.
And I picked the Ravens to win, but obviously that was a mistake. But
right? You should have picked New England as your suicide. It's fine.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about that really seriously.
They're so lucky it was raining though, because I think they would have lost this game if the Ravens were able to throw the ball at all. Because look at this. Williams says, the weather was bad in New England. That's an understatement. It was ridiculous in New England. I just think this is hilarious. Look at who he's passing to. This is what Cam Newton has to pass to. I don't even remember his first name, is it? Yeah, Jacoby Myers, Rex Burkhead, Ryan Izzo, Jakob Johnson, and James White. Those are his 5 receivers that he threw to.
Oh, I thought you were reading the starting lineup for the Pro Bowl.
yeah. The Pro Bowl sled team in Iceland or something. This is not a NFL caliber receiver. Like, I can't believe this is who he's throwing to. And I heard somebody say last week, I think it was Bart Scott, the old linebacker for the Jets and the Ravens, talk about this might be the last season for Bill Belichick in New England. And I was like, only if Bill wants out. Like, they're
right.
4-5. He lost his quarterback in Tom Brady. He had Dante Hightower, his starting middle linebacker, opt out for COVID. His starting safety, Patrick Chung, opt out for COVID. Then he also had, what's his name? The left tackle opt out for COVID, or right tackle. One of his starting tackles opt outed for COVID.
And then they've had several other injuries on their defense is decimated.
Oh, this is insane for anybody to act like Bill Belichick is not amazing for having this team at 4-5. If that roster is in DC, oh my God! Like we would be lucky to have a win.
Well, and I've heard Bill Belichick was successful because of Tom Brady because he's in Tampa Bay and he's 7-3. It's like, he didn't go to a stacked team, did he?
I've never heard of Mike Evans. Yeah, let's just compare and contrast who he has to throw to compared to Cam Newton. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, O.J. Howard, the other Humphreys, and the freaking little white boy's pretty good too. Scotty somebody. That's his fourth receiver. Scotty would be the number 2 receiver, maybe the number 1 receiver on this Cam Newton's Patriots offense. This is terrible comparison. And also, their defense is ranked number 1 in rush defense, and they have a young safety that's absolutely crushing it. Yeah, this is absolute nonsense to compare the two situations right now.
Oh, and the Saints kicked their butts.
So Vishnu, sorry, I always want to say Vinshu, but it's Vishnu. I'm certain that our offense can put up some good score on the board this week, but if our defense steps up and stops the Bengals from scoring, then I think we're going to get an easy win. Okay, so he thinks it might be an easy win for if we get anything out of the defense. Ravens lost their solid tight end Nick Boyle with a scary season-ending knee injury. Did you see that hit?
I did not.
That was in that Patriots game. Nick Boyle, man, oof. I'm not even going to pull it up and watch it again. I saw it live. Nasty knee injury. Got tangled up, all bent out of shape. Yeah, it was ugly. And yeah, hopefully he has a speedy recovery to come back next season. But yeah, I don't know what the final verdict was. Was it ACL, MCL, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But his whole knee looked bad. It looked bad. It looked ugly. So, yeah, unfortunate for Nick Boyle. Yeah, that was a fun game. Are you excited about the game tomorrow? Are you going to watch that game tomorrow?
Well, I usually do.
Cardinals, Seahawks?
Yeah, that's a tough pick. I mean, in theory, I would think the Seahawks should be able to beat them. I think that, of course, I picked Buffalo last week, +2. And the Cardinals
upset him on that Hail Mary.
What's his
Hopkins?
name? DeAndre Hopkins. I mean, 3 guys, and you know the old saying, knock the ball to the ground. And he rose up between 3 guys and was like, you are not taking the ball from me.
Did you hear about the Michael Jordan brand?
Huh.
So DeAndre Hopkins apparently wears Jordan gloves.
Oh.
So, but get this, listen. When he went up to make the catch, his hands rise just above the other 2, and it's a perfect picture of a Nike glove and an Adidas glove underneath the Jordan's glove. Like it's an ad within itself. So apparently the Jordan stock went up after that catch, where a lot of people were interested in getting Jordan gloves when it started trending on Twitter.
Yeah, because the gloves are the reason why Hopkins made that play. You know that, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
His arm strength, I know. But his arm strength and his jumping ability and his timing and all that had nothing to do with it. It's because he wore Jordan gloves.
Hey,
so.
I want to be like DeAndre. I'm wearing his same gloves. I want to be on the Hopkins train. Give me the same gloves. Yep. No, I'm excited about the game tomorrow night because last time it was the game of the season. Cardinals made that 10-point comeback to send it to overtime. Then they had back and forth affair, and Cardinals actually missed a field goal in overtime, allowed the Seahawks one more chance, but my boy Isaiah Simmons that I wanted in the draft got the interception, got him in field goal range for the Zane Gonzalez again, and Zane Gonzalez got a chance to redeem himself after his coach was the one that iced him the first time around. They called timeout because they saw the play clock going down, and they called timeout, and they got the kickoff. So he iced his own kicker. It was such a great game. I really enjoyed that game, and I'm loving Kyler Murray right now. He's my favorite to win the MVP this season. You know he's on pace right now for 4,000 yards throwing and 1,000 yards rushing.
Wow.
He'll be the first quarterback to ever do that. When Mike Vick ran for 1,000, he didn't even get 3,000 throwing yards. And then Lamar Jackson last season had 1,000 rushing yards, but he only had 3,100, like 3,200. It was just under 3,200 passing yards. So, like, nobody's even come close to this stat line. Not to mention, he has 10 rushing touchdowns in 9 games. So he's on pace for 16 touchdowns rushing and 1,000 yards. That's, like, top 10 running back numbers, let alone add in his passing totals.
Yeah, I'm looking at the Kyler Murray stats. It's only covering his passing stats. It's like you'd think you might want to mention. Yeah, it's 2375 with 17 TDs.
Hey, if you want to see his rushing stats, look up rushing leaders, because he's number 8 out of all rushers and all running backs when it comes to yards, and then he's number 2 in rushing touchdowns, and number 1 in yards per attempt. Kyler Murray's a monster. He's one of my favorites right now.
And doesn't that indicate that they get a lot of offensive plays too?
What do you mean?
Well, I'm just saying, if he's got that many yards and that many passing yards, that would indicate that Cardinals get a lot of offensive plays.
It depends on what his yards per attempt are. We can look at his passing real quick. Hold on.
Well, I get that, but I'd still say that that's a sign that
average per play. Kyler Murray's not high on average per play. Throwing, rushing, he's number 1 in rushing per play, with a 6.9 yards per carry average.
So in 7 more games, he's going to have to average 50 yards a game, a little more than 50 yards a game.
Yeah, just under 60, basically. Yeah, 60 would put 420 yards, to get to him 1,000.
Yeah. So yeah, between 50 and 55, something like that. So yeah, that's interesting. But we'll see, you know.
Yeah, 10 rushing touchdowns in 9 games. That's insane. That's insane. And then on top of his passing numbers.
Well, and to your point there too, it doesn't hurt that DeAndre Hopkins is out there. They got he's got some weapons that, if he had squat for receivers, then I don't think he gets nearly the running yards he does.
It's arguable. I mean, he's got like Lamar Jackson style speed though. Like he can get to the outside and like make people miss. But you know what my favorite thing about Kyler Murray is? He does not get hit. When he runs the ball, he used to play baseball. He actually got drafted to play baseball as well, and he chose the NFL. And so he's very familiar with sliding into the base. So, a lot of fast quarterbacks have had problems in the past with sliding.
RG3.
Yeah, not him at all. Like, he slides better than anybody ever. Like, it's so smooth. There's no, like, hitting the ground hard. So he doesn't take any unnecessary hits. He slides or gets out of bounds all the time. Like, he had, 20 carries one time, and he only got a hit once. And that was because... go ahead.
He's used to avoiding the tag.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. For baseball, exactly. And so even that, him as a mobile quarterback, he's one of the first mobile quarterbacks ever to potentially have longevity, because like Cam Newton would take a bunch of hits. RG3 would take a bunch of hits. Lamar is taking too many hits. Mike Vick obviously took a ton of hits. So he's getting these incredible rushing totals, rushing numbers, and yet not taking hits. So it's really cool to see, actually. I'm very excited, as you can tell, for Kyler Murray. Yeah, he's number 13 in passing yards, and he has 17 throwing touchdowns. But if you add up the totals between him and Russell Wilson, he's only 1 touchdown total when you include his rushing totals.
Right.
So, I don't know.
So one final exit question. Do you think that the Redskins at this point, technically they're still in it. So do you think that Rivera should continue to have the let's try to get to the playoffs mentality, or do you think he should go back to his original plan of just trying to develop a team? Or are those two things not mutually exclusive? Like, you think he can do both?
Yeah, obviously he can do both. Yeah, that's true just by nature of but the main question is the quarterback. discussion. Like, what should he do at quarterback? And I've said this before, but it really comes down to what he wants. If he wants to give Dwayne Haskins another chance at starting,
He's got to do it this year.
I want to see it earlier, like rather earlier than later. You know, if he honestly wants to give him another shot. If he's decided he's done with Dwayne, I don't want to see Dwayne on the field again.
Right.
To the point
I
where
know. I
would
heard
go ahead.
No, I was going to say I heard the recommendation that if the Redskins lose this week, they should take Alex Smith off the field and put Haskins in. Because I will say this, that if he's done with Haskins, I get your logic. But if Haskins doesn't play for the Redskins anymore, then his value is crap. So if you're planning on getting rid of him and you play him for the last 6 games and show that he's a serviceable quarterback, you could still be done with him. Although I guess if he does great, then you're going to be like, oh, I can't get rid of him because he just won, not that he's going to win.
And I'm not worried about his value at all, because his value is just determined on the facts of what people can think they can do with him, right?
Yeah.
And we've talked about this before, whereas if we don't play him, there's the mantra of, oh, Washington didn't give him a fair shot.
Yeah, but that's not my point of whether or not they'll pick him up. My point is he good enough to where somebody, not necessarily a bidding war, but where somebody's going to offer something to the Redskins for him?
It's impossible to say, but all I can lean on is Josh Rosen, who's hot garbage in Arizona. Hot garbage. Brought in a 2nd and a 5th round pick.
Yeah.
Like, he did have an extra year on his contract. Compared to Dwayne, because Dwayne, this will be after his 2nd year. It was after Josh Rosen's 1st year. So, but you still have the 5th year option on Dwayne, so you still will have him for 3 years. Then you have the franchise tag option if you really enjoy him. So he's still got plenty of potential there as far as bringing in him as a young quarterback. So it all depends on what you want out of him. If you're done with him, I don't want to see him again. If you want to give him another shot, I would rather give it to him earlier rather than later.
Okay, now this is the real exit question. Which would you do? Play him again or be done with him?
Which would I do? I am not necessarily totally done with him, so I want to play him.
Okay.
I would have rather have played Alex Smith week 1, seen where we're at, and if we're in the same boat at 2-7, which we both agreed this is not where we would have been, but if we're in the same boat at 2-7, like at halfway through the season, I would have started. Then it's like, okay, I want to move to Haskins.
All right, sounds good. Well, listen, I'm gonna let you off the hook. I know the NBA draft is coming up. That is something that I don't have much particular interest in.
For sure.
But I'm sure you'll have a slight recap next week about what the Wizards did.
Yeah, who they had and who they got. I don't know who they're going to get. I don't know. I'm not too deep into it, so I think I want to go live and we'll watch the highlights on YouTube and of each player that gets drafted and see what we think about them. I think that's my plan.
All right. Well, good luck, and I'm sure we'll talk soon.
All right. Sounds good. Love you.
All right. See you, everybody. Love you too.
Bye. Alrighty, guys. Okay, so I'm going to get off here just for a few minutes. I'm going to change the title, and then we'll come back. So the 3 that are you watching, thank you for watching. Thanks for sticking around to the end. And I'll be back on in just, like 5 minutes. The first pick is at 8 o'clock. So we will pull that up. Excuse me. Coming up, Timberwolves on the clock. So we'll follow that and see you in just like 5 minutes.